People are so unkind these days. Say that sentence in any city on earth and someone will nod. But is it true? Is kindness actually dying? Or has something changed in how we see it? And does the answer depend on where you live or who you are? This video is an attempt at the truth, not comfort. The complaint is not new. 2,300 years ago, two of China's greatest philosophers fought over this exact question. Mencius, in the book that carries his name, argued that human nature is good, like water flowing downhill. We naturally feel compassion, he wrote. A child falling into a well moves anyone who sees it. Xunzi disagreed. In his own treatise, Human Nature is Evil, he argued, because human nature is desire. Kindness is not natural. It is a craft, built by ritual and society, hammered into us. The Mencian view became orthodox, but the question never died. The Enlightenment inherited the fight. Thomas Hobbes, in Leviathan, painted the state of nature as a war of all against all, where life is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Kindness, for Hobbes, is a civilizational achievement, a deal we strike to survive. Jean-Jacques Rousseau answered him in the Discourse on Inequality. Before society, humans possess natural pity, an instinct that recoils at the suffering of others. And civilization, with its vanity and comparison, is what weakens that pity. Two great philosophers, two opposite verdicts on the same human animal. Then comes a strange figure, Arthur Schopenhauer, the great pessimist, who believed life is suffering, and yet built his entire ethics on one foundation. And on the basis of morality, he writes that compassion is the only genuinely moral motive, the experience of another's pain as if it were our own. Even the philosopher most famous for despair thought kindness is not the exception. It is the root. The 20th century stopped arguing and started measuring, and the results cut against the complaint. In 1973, Darley and Batson sent Princeton Seminary students to give a talk, then placed a groaning man in their path. The students' topic, even their religion, did not predict who helped. Their watch did. 63% helped when unhurried. 10% helped when late. The situation, not the soul, decides. Latane and Darley's bystander studies added the second blow. The more witnesses to an emergency, the less likely any one person helps, because responsibility dissolves into the crowd. So why does it feel like cruelty is everywhere? Because of how our minds count. Kahneman and Tversky showed the availability heuristic. We judge how common something is by how easily examples come to mind, and cruelty is engineered to be memorable. Gerbner's cultivation research found that heavy television viewers come to believe the world is meaner than it is, a mean world syndrome. The internet is that mechanism on steroids. Outrage is the algorithm's best fuel. Kindness rarely trends, because kindness rarely shouts. And the countries and demographics? The data refuses the simple story. The CAF World Giving Index, which tracks millions of people, finds roughly 3/4 of the world gave time, money, or help in a single month, and helping a stranger is the most common act of giving. The most generous countries are not the wealthiest. Indonesia, Kenya, and Nigeria top the lists. And when psychologists warn that our findings come mostly from weird samples, Western, educated, industrialized, rich, democratic, they mean the belief that people are cold may itself be a provincial conclusion. Milgram's urban overload hypothesis adds the last layer. Cities overwhelm the senses, and overwhelmed people help less. The difference is not a moral geography. It is attention under stress. So the truth is stranger than either side. Kindness is not dying, and it was never as rare as we fear. What changed is the mirror. The internet is a salience machine, built to show you the worst, because the worst is what holds attention. The honest move is to sample the world deliberately. Look for the quiet acts, and you will find a flood of them, because confirmation bias cuts both ways. And when you are the witness, act as if you are the only one there. That is the one lever entirely yours. Mencius and Schopenhauer were right, and so was the data. The kindness was always there. It is your attention that decides what you see.